All right, in the previous video, we talked about why we care about significant figures, because it tells us how much precision there is in our measurement, right? How carefully we have measured something. Another way of thinking about that is where do we have confidence in our measurement, and where is it just kind of baloney, phony baloney afterwards, the numbers that trail that our calculator tells us. So we want to know how many of those numbers are important, how many of them carry meaning. So let's look at a number and say how many significant figures it has. So when we measure something on a balance and the balance reads 1.69, all of those numbers have meaning. The balance is telling us it weighs 1.69 grams. So each of those numbers is measured. We have 3 significant figures, or 3 Sig Figs. If the balance tells us instead that we have 0.69 grams, was that 0 there for any, was it measured? Well, it turns out that that 0 is really just there to make us not forget that there's a decimal place there and read it accidentally as 69 grams, right? That would be bad if we thought that it was really 69 grams when it's 0.69 grams. So the 0 is just kind of a eye catcher for the decimal. So it's really not a measured number. So we have 1, 2 measured numbers. We have 2 Sig Figs. Zeros in the front, it doesn't matter how many zeros we have in the front. They are just there to tell us where the decimal place is. That's all they're there for. So here I have 2 Sig Figs again. If I were to put this into scientific notation, all of those zeros there would go away, right? I would have 6.9 times 10 to the something grams. How many? Well, how many? I would have to move it one place. 1 loopy, 2 loopies, 3 loopies, 4 loopies. Okay, 4, negative 4. 6.9 times 10 to the minus 4th grams. So those would all disappear. They had an important function, but they weren't significant. Significant means it has to do with measurement, right? They were measured numbers. These weren't measured. Their important function was showing us where the decimal place is. That important function is now taken over by scientific notation. All right, what about zeros on the other end of the number? 69000 grams, okay? 69,000 grams. Well, what about that? Did we measure this to the exact number of grams, or is this an estimate? Well, it's closer than it is to 70,000 grams or to 68,000 grams. Which is it? Is it an estimate, or is it exactly that number of grams, closer to 69,000 than it is to 69,001 or to 999? Okay, 9, not 8. Okay, so which is it? Is this what we want, or did we really just mean to the closest thousand? So there's a couple of ways that people do this. One convention is to say, if I really mean 69,000 to the nearest gram, then I have to put a decimal place here. And some books and some teachers teach this as this is the rule. If you really mean it to the nearest gram, trailing zeros, that's what you have to do. You have to put a decimal place there. Unfortunately, it's not universal. So you can do that, and I think everybody would recognize that this is, what you're trying to do. But it's the difference between this and this is not recognized by everyone. So the only sure way to show that you don't mean 2 significant figures, that you really mean 5 significant figures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is to put it in scientific notation and say that we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 times 10 to the 4th grams, or 6.9000 times 10 to the 4th grams. These are the same number, aren't they? They're both 69,000, but this says I measured it to 2 places worth of precision. Here, I measured it so carefully that I know it absolutely down to the gram. I know that it's closer to 69,000 grams than it is to 69,001 grams. So zeros in the front, never significant. Zeros in the back, you have to be a little more careful about how you judge them. And sometimes in reading that, you have to take it in context and figure it out. So if somebody says to you, there's 3 million people in Denver, you have to say, do they mean to the nearest person or do they mean to the nearest million? What are they trying to say? So you have to use a little bit of critical thinking, unfortunately, on the other end of the number.